The Clippers rolled over the Nuggets. They go up 2-1 in the series. A lot of things that we can get into here, Shane, but the first thing that kind of my biggest takeaway was that Nikola Jokic was not good in this game. I was disappointed by the game. I was mostly disappointed just because it wasn't very entertaining, but I was mostly disappointed with Jokic. He was as bad defensively as I've seen him in this game that we're talking about. There were in the first half, well, first of all, the Nuggets come out in a zone. And I'm like, well, that's not great. I kind of hated that. If you're going to the zone on the first possession, that tells me you have no answers. You have no idea what you're doing. And then there's back-to-back plays later on in the first half where James Harden does the James Harden thing, calls Zubac up, pick and roll, involves Jokic in the play. And what Jokic will always do, and everybody knows this, he wants to show on that pick and roll. And everybody else on Denver behind him has to sort of rotate and be in position. And Harden tests it, as he does, and Jokic does not show up very high. And that's sort of the tricky part with the show, right? Is if you don't show if you don't come up high enough, then you're kind of not really doing anything, and you're just in no man's land because you're not in position to guard the roller, and you're not in position to do anything with the ball handler. And Jokic, every once in a while, he'll fall into that trap, and it's okay. That's sort of built into the Jokic experience. And when you have that game plan defensively, you got to accept that that's going to happen every once in a while. So it happens on the first one. Okay, whatever. I'm like, that's not great. First thing in the game, not great. The Clippers get the ball back. Harden's like, I'm going to try it again. And he goes right back to the same spot, pick and roll, Zubac, James Harden, Jokic comes up, soft show, doesn't come up high enough to the level of the screen, and Harden just hits another pull-up jumper. And Harden is just too good, too experienced, and I love that he tested it twice. I thought Harden was really good in that game. But I saw that, I'm like, wow, that's... Jokic, he'll usually get away with one of them. To do it twice in a row, that's a bad sign. And then as the game went on, Shane, it was just, he was consistently out of position and all these things. And I hate to rag on him and open up the show just like hating on Jokic because I'm obviously a big Jokic fan. He's the best player in the universe. Love watching him. My takeaway was that he was bad, but I'm not even trying to criticize him. It's almost just a red flag to me of he looked so tired. And if you don't have that extra little bit to get that extra step forward or move with a little bit more urgency or slide your feet defensively and not give up those wide open layups, after the load that guy carried in the regular season, that's the thing that would worry me if I was a Nuggets fan right now.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering if you hacked into my notes somehow this morning. I have a couple of these line items there. But so I think it's interesting that you say it happened from the jump, because I noticed, they were weird on defense in that first quarter, Jokic especially. And it makes you wonder, is that his laziness, or is that is that a directive from the coaching staff? Like, why start the game that way? Why not come up and fully commit on the show? I can't imagine in a almost must win. It's 1-1. You need to kind of win one of these in LA, or your series is going to be over. And in that kind of scenario, why are you coming out like that defensively? So I don't know. Might have been a coaching staff decision to just not have them fully up there. But one thing I also have written down here is that when he did fully show, and when he did, because he likes to play high on those ball screens. He, for some reason, and Denver media has asked him about it, like he's most comfortable in that situation versus any sort of drop. Don't know why, but I think whenever he did, Denver's backline defense, the rotations were terrible.
Yeah.
Like just absolutely abysmal, to the point where that's when you start seeing the body language. That it's the I call it the LeBron, where you turn around and you see that your team gave up a layup or something at the rim, and then you just shrug your shoulders, shake your head, start throwing a fit. It's like that's what Jokic was doing at least 5 or 6 times in the first half that I noticed. And then the game got out of hand, and then they never kind of really got back into it. But it looks like a team, Wes. The Nuggets look like a team that just haven't been together long.
Right.
And that's kind of insane to say for
Yeah.
2023 NBA champions.
They have been executing this defensive strategy, granted not at a super high level, but at a good enough level, top 15, 12-ish type of defensive rating over the last few years for the last half decade. And then it looks like they flew into LA, got off the plane, and then somebody was waiting outside the plane and just clocking them in the back of the head, each and every one of them. Just and everybody just forgot what the defensive scheme was that
Yeah.
they've been running for 5 years. It, you're totally right about the back end rotations behind Jokic on that. It was everybody was out of position, and I
And
know people are dealing with injuries, but
yeah.
it didn't. It looked
Something I
worse.
think, yeah, you're right. Something I think the Clippers are fully taking advantage of here. Even when they do rotate perfectly, have you just noticed that the Clippers are just so much bigger?
Yep.
Like so much bigger. It's not even funny. Like the people that are rotating on that back end after Jokic is showing and out on the perimeter, guarding those DHOs and those ball screens, they're just tiny compared to the Clippers. And Derrick Jones Jr. is waiting in the dunker spot, just rises up and throws one down, doesn't care who's in front of him. I mean, Aaron Gordon is the only semblance of like rim protection available back there on those possessions. So it's very concerning, and that's just kind of also what my biggest takeaway from this series is that sure, Jamal Murray can get going. He had great possessions on those left-handed drives last night. Great finishes at the rim, could get to his spots, pull up in the mid range. And Jokic is going to give you the same production offensively every game. You don't have to worry about that, in my opinion. But everyone else, like the Clippers 3 through whatever you want to say, is just so much better, man. Just so much better and more athletic, more talented, and the shooting. The shooting to me, especially when you consider like if Nico Batum and Norm Powell are gonna get rolling, and oh by the way, is Chris Dunn gonna hit a couple threes? Then you're kind of dead on arrival.
That was my big takeaway. Also, my bubble has been burst on this Nuggets team. I don't know who you picked in this series or if you made picks. I had Nuggets in 7.
You had Nuggets in 7. I had Clips in 7. Yeah.
I didn't feel good about it. I said it on the show. I'm like, I have Nuggets in 7, and I hate it. But I have a rule: I don't trust the Clippers. It's one of my rules. I won't trust them. And I still don't know if I trust them, right? I can wait. We could wake up tomorrow and Kawhi has a hamstring injury, and you're just like, all right, there it goes. But what is so apparent in this series through 3 games is, to your point, the Clippers role players way better than Denver's role players, and we kind of knew that, but I didn't know. It is a little shocking the degree to which they've just outplayed Denver's role players. That's part of it. Kawhi looks great.
They're more experienced too.
They're more
Way
experienced. Kawhi looks awesome, and Kawhi wasn't even very good in that game last night. But I mean, he wasn't game 2 Kawhi. He was fine. But the role players just were so much better, and so now I'm like, okay, the only formula for Denver to win is if Jokic is awesome, like MVP level Jokic, which he wasn't last night. He's got to be MVP level Jokic. Kawhi has to be worse than Jokic, which has not been the case for the first 2 games of this series. And then the role players just can't completely outplay Denver's role player. It just feels like the Clippers have so many other avenues to win these games, where Denver's only thing is Jokic has to be the best player on the universe. Kawhi can't be, and the role players can't be that dramatically. And so to me, I never wanted to fully give up on the Nuggets as a championship contender because they have Jokic. My bubble's burst. I've given up. I don't believe in them at all.
And I don't.
It doesn't get, even if they somehow win this series, which I don't think they will, but even if it does not get easier.
No, and I don't know how you feel about this, but like I was really if I'm a Nuggets guy, which I'm not, I don't cover them, but if I was a Nuggets guy, I would have much rather seen them on the other side of the bracket, and then I would feel better about them making the West Finals. Like I think they could beat the Lakers. I think they beat the Warriors and Rockets, and Timberwolves in the series. Now Minnesota's that's always been a struggle for them, but regardless, they ended up in that 4-5 bracket, which. I'm sure they like the Clippers matchup themselves internally, but now they're seeing that that's not so wise, and guess what is on the other side of that? The best team of all time in the regular season. So
Right.
I mean, it's just like I agree. My bubble's been burst on them, and what's sticking to me that I hope doesn't linger, that I hope doesn't become a thing after they get beaten this series, is like the body language from Jokic to me last night was a different level of disgust and disappointment of his situation, because I got to tell you, their situation doesn't get better either. It's not like they're just going to magically revamp their rotation.
Right.
But that's a different conversation. I did not like seeing that from him, the leader of the team.
It's a great call out. The body language thing has got to be really important. And if you're the owners of the Nuggets and you're saying, well, we need to hire a new GM and we're still not really sure if Adelman's our coach long term and we got to kind of figure this out, then that has to be front of mind right now, especially if it looks like what's going to happen here. I'm not saying you would give up on the series, but if you're in charge of this thing, you have to start looking forward. That's your job. And I don't, you got to do what you got to do to make sure that Jokic is happy at this point.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks that Jokic is going to ask out or anything like that.
No,
but you obviously don't want him just being bummed out on your team at the same time either, right? You want this guy engaged. And as awesome of a season as he's played, to lose in the first round this way, if it kind of continues to go this way, how do you not get bummed out if you're Jokic? He's like, I played at an all-time level. I had the best season of my career, and we didn't even have a chance in the first round.
And by the way, should have made the finals last year.
Yes.
They should have made the finals last year. They were the best team in the Western Conference, in my opinion.
I had them going.
Just choked it in the game 7.
So let's talk a little bit more about the Clippers part of this. They are, I think, they've looked like the second best team in the Western Conference. If they're getting this from Norm Powell, if they're getting this from Derek Jones Jr., I had Zubac third team All NBA on my fake ballot, and I felt really he was in pen. Like there was no way he wasn't All NBA for me. And you're getting this from James Harden, who's again, my rule is never trust the Clippers. I have 2 rules, Shane: don't trust the Clippers and don't watch the Hornets after February.
Wow.
Those are my 2 rules, my 2 NBA rules. I can't trust the Clippers. I have made the joke of I won't even believe they've won the championship when they're holding the Larry O'Brien trophy. I just won't. I won't ever trust it. But damn it, Shane, they're roping me in.
They are, Wes. And the funny thing about this is that you're saying don't trust the Clippers, but then you're also saying like, oh, James Harden, historic playoff letdown guy, and then also Ben Simmons is on the roster too. So right. you have many reasons not to trust the LA Clippers.
Right.
But
Kawhi's hamstring, all these injuries. There's no reason to trust this team, but they look so good.
I would go a step to say that this looks like the second best team they've had with Kawhi. The best being 2021, which it'll forever be in my heart because I covered that playoff run. I remember they had a wacky travel schedule that year where like they closed out Utah in Game 6, and then 2 days or less than 36 hours later they were in Phoenix playing Game 1 in the West Finals. So it was ridiculous. But yeah, I think this team is deeper than that 21 team they had. But like I just Kawhi looks springy. He looks fast. He looks ready to go. Dialed in defensively. It's just, did you expect Zoo to be like this? What he's 28, 29 years old. Like I did not expect him to mature into this. There was one possession last night in particular that really highlighted the growth. Like he had Jamal Murray on him for a hot second on a switch in the post, and in the past, like they just wouldn't give it to him. They would just like work it around, Kawhi action over here, come off,
get a shot up quick. Maybe you can get an offensive rebound.
Yeah.
But
instead, immediate fling it to Zoo in the post, and then Pickett came around the corner and tried to help. But by the time he even caught the ball, Zoo already put it up. So it was like, man, like that shows intentionality, and that's something that I didn't see with this Clippers team the last 4 years.
So I don't know if this is the best Clippers team. To your point, this is easily my favorite Clippers team during this stretch since Kawhi signed there. They're deep, they're fun, they have a lot of optionality. You've got the Kawhi Zoo pick and roll over here. You've got just put Kawhi on the block, isolate, clear out over there, which is tons of fun. That's old school throwback, and he's so freaking good at it that I'm cool with it. And then every once in a while, you're like, oh, I didn't realize it was a Norm Powell night. and he's just going off. And then Bogdanovich hasn't exactly been that for them, but it feels like that's there somewhere. And Derek Jones Jr., it's like, oh, wow, we're just going to get it to him in transition. He's going to have like 2 highlight dunks tonight that I didn't see coming. It's just been really cool. And then Jeff Van Gundy, oh, he's just fighting with players for the basketball. Like, I didn't see this coming. It's easily the most entertaining, most fun Clippers team that we've seen. But
what do you think about Intuit Dome? How loud did it sound there? From TV.
It's one of the few arenas I haven't been to. I want to go so bad. And I love that they gave, I don't know if it was blue shirts or shawls or something that they
I don't
gave to a
know.
bunch of the people, and then the horse heads were obviously out there, and the signs. They do such a great job, and Ballmer deserves so much credit for just saying we're gonna have a great fan base. You talk to players, they're like, "Yep, it's loud, it's crazy in there." He's done a really good job of facilitating that. It very much was like, if you build it, they will come. If I give you a bunch of free stuff and noisemakers, they'll just show up and use the noisemakers. It's pretty great, and it's something I want other owners to take notice of. If you ever complain about your own home crowd internally, just start giving them free stuff. It
Yeah,
works, man. It freaking works.
it works.
That said, we were talking about Zoo. I didn't see this coming. I really didn't. And he's been my favorite, one of my, I don't know, favorite 10, 15 players to watch this year, which is crazy. Like, he reminds me a little bit of, and follow me on this if you can, but like, you've got like a bunch of people at a bar and the girl's flirting with this guy the whole time. And it turns out that like, it's never been that guy leaves and then she ends up like going home with another guy. And you're like, that guy's been the main character the whole time.
Oh, yes.
Zoo's just sort of been here in the background, just lingering, just drinking his Miller Lights at the corner of the bar and just being like, "Oh, you need me now? Hold on." And he puts his beer down. And he's like, "Turns out I'm one of the best 5 centers in the league." He's literally been one of the best 5 centers in the league this
I
season. There's been
love
some
it.
injuries and stuff, but it's it's crazy what he's. I had him on my, again, fake most improved ballot. I didn't have him number one, but I had him in my top three, I think. But
I,
I've really enjoyed
yeah,
it.
I spoke to him and on like February 26th, like late February, just about like the defensive player of the year candidacy when it was clear that Victor Wembanyama was going to be out and only played 46 games or something with a blood clot. And it was looking like he had a chance to really shine and go get that award. Clippers took a little bit of a defensive tailspin toward that part of the year. Then they revived themselves later on, but he's been the linchpin.
Yeah,
He's,
the
I
backbone.
would say, not. I don't know if he's the best. I think Rudy is still the best, but he is one of the three best drop coverage bigs in basketball. He's always gonna shut off the water of your Chris Paul esque mid range guys that like to pull up there. You're not getting to the rim on him. If you do, he's going to contest and he's going to do it without fouling too.
Hmm.
So I would say he's even better than Jaren Jackson Jr.
Oh
for
yeah,
that reason too. So,
yeah. I have him. Clearly, I've the again, my bubble's been burst on Jaren Jackson Jr. a little bit too over the
a
last
lot
year.
of bubble bursting on
A lot of
this.
bubble bursting, but a lot of new bubbles. Like, we got a new Zoo
Yeah.
bubble, so that's fun. But I think he's one of the best positional defenders in the league right now. I compared him a couple weeks ago to Marc Gasol, like prime Marc Gasol in Memphis, where he's just middle linebackering the defense, where he's not contesting the shots all the time. He's just taking that anticipatory step before that makes that point guard do that U-turn. And it's like,
Yeah.
you're not even going to shoot. Like, we're not even talking about defending a shot because you're not even taking that shot. He's been awesome. I've really enjoyed watching him, and I really enjoyed watching Marc Gasol then, and that's why I kind of remember it. It's like, oh, he just knows this little half step here is just going to screw up everything that they want to be doing offensively, and he's at that level right now, and there's no reason why it's going to change. I just think that this is who the Clippers have now in the middle of their defense, and it allows Chris Dunn to be super aggressive chasing over these
Yes.
screens. It allows Derek Jones Jr. to be aggressive in these passing lanes. Having Zoo is, to me, I understand people wanting to vote Chris Dunn for Defensive Player of the Year or All Defense or whatever, and his eligibility and all that stuff is a problem. But to me, Zoo is the backbone of that defense. He made everything click into place. Not taking anything away from those guys, but Zoo is the most important defender they have.
Yeah, they have essentially replaced the Pat Bev and Zoo thing with the Chris Dunn and Zoo connection. So